Okay. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Eve, and I am one of the directors at British and Uzbek Society. Thank you very much for joining us this morning for our expert roundtable for fresh produce exporters based in Uzbekistan. So this online event was organized by the British-Uzbek Society in collaboration with the Embassy of Uzbekistan in London. Our society was officially established in collaboration with the embassy back in 2002 and is dedicated to fostering bilateral relationships between the United Kingdom and Uzbekistan in the spheres of education, business, culture, and simply bringing everyone together, fostering friendships. So today we will have four speakers this morning. First of all, we will hear from Mr. Islam Orifyonov, who is the head of Trade and Investments Department at the Embassy of Uzbekistan in London. Afterwards, we will hear from Patrick Potevin, and Patrick is working with the Pack Hub, organization that is specializing in packing, labeling solutions. So we'll look forward to this presentation. We also have here Tom Corley, and Tom is a customs broker with a company called Erona. And this agency is specializing in customs clearance, brokerage services for perishable goods. And to conclude, we will hear from Wise Quais from company AKS Service Group. And this company is already exporting produce from Uzbekistan into the UK. And Wise will be able to share his personal journey of establishing that relationship and shipping the goods. So thank you very much. And now I would like to invite Mr. Islam Orifyonov to say his welcoming words.
Assalamu alaikum, hammaga. Good afternoon to everybody. It's a pleasure to see our speakers, and would like to say very big thanks to Uzbek British Society to organizing such a important event, because nowadays the importance of the diversification of export of agriculture products is very important in our market. So I think after today's webinar, our exporters will have opportunity to know more about the things which they have to do to enter to the UK market. Hurmatli qatnashchilar, sizlarni ko'rib turganimizdan juda ham xursandmiz. O'zbekiston Buyuk Britaniyadagi elchixonasi doim sizlarning xizmatingizga tayyor. O'zingizlar xabaringlar bor. So'nggi paytlarda shu eksport bozorlarini kengaytirish, ularni diversifikatsiya qilishga katta e'tibor berilyapti. Bugungi o'sha vebinar tashkil etilishdan sabab O'zbekiston Britaniya jamiyatining ishtirokida shu eksportyorlarga sharoitlarni yaratish, ularga o'sha to'sqinlik qilayotgan savollariga javob berish, yo'l yo'riqni etishga ko'maklashish bo'ladi. Bugun o'sha yig'ilishda spikerlarimiz bor, o'sha upakovka, markirovka, eksport bo'yicha savollarga javob berishadi va o'zligini prezentatsiyaligini qilishadi. Keyin yana bugun mana tadbirda Bonaf kompaniyasi bor. Ular bugungi kunda O'zbekistondan o'sha quritilgan meva sabzavotlarni qadoqlangan shaklda Britaniya bozoriga olib kelishyapti. Ularni ham bir savol berib, ularni ham gapligisini eshitsanglar bo'ladi. Mr. Barry White is the representative from Bonaf company. Mr. Barry White, we are very glad to see you. We know that nowadays Bonaf is one of the leaders in UK market with Uzbekistan products, because from this month or last month they started to export of dried carrots to UK market, which is also untapped way of the export, and we believe that our exporters will also have opportunity to sell their product to the UK market, and as the embassy, we will have a chance to assist them to open the trade ways to enter to the UK market. Thank you very much, and I hope that today's webinar will be very fruitful and insightful to all parties. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this introduction. And I just wanted to double check very quickly before we start. This webinar is translated. We have synchronized translation into Russian language. So you can pick the channel, whether you want to listen in English or in Russian. Я скажу это по-русски также. У нас наше мероприятие переводится на русский язык. Да. Так что, пожалуйста, посмотрите, внизу будет глобус, где-то посередине. Да, и там вы можете выбрать английский язык или русский язык. Хорошо, чтобы вы могли слышать и понимать всю презентацию. And so we will start with our first speaker, Patrick Potivin. Patrick, I would like you to introduce yourself first, and then we will start with your presentation. I will share the presentation, and then I will follow your instructions. Please.
Okay, thank you very much. How do you say it in Russian? Доброе утро. Good morning. So probably my pronunciation is not very good. So I am Patrick Poitvin, and I'm on behalf of the Backup, which is UK based, and I am based in the UK for about 25 years, but as you can hear on my accent, I'm originally from Belgium, from the Flemish speaking part of Belgium, but as you know, in Belgium we speak multiple languages. I'm about 48 years in the packaging business, let's say. I was 18 years with Estée Lauder, cosmetics, personal care, fragrances, etc., which was based in Belgium. Then Nestle, which was the fresh dairy industry. Then I went to Campina, which was the fresh milk where I was working on. And then I came to the UK, where I was with Coty, again in the fragrances, cosmetics, always in packaging and packaging development, packaging engineering, packaging innovations. Then Marks and Spencer's, also quite interesting. Cozy, and the last 15 years I was with Mondelez, which is originally Cadbury, then became Kraft Foods, and then it was a spin-off in confectionery for Mondelez. So a lot of experience in terms of packaging development and packaging innovation, but also in sustainability. As you know, sustainability is a very important part in the business. I've been involved as well in many aspects, moving productions for instance, from the UK into Poland, where transport is quite important as well, but I come to that later as well, which is important. So I have a few slides, but please interrupt me if you have questions or any doubts in what I am trying to share with you. Yes, if you can take the next slide. This is just the introduction slide, and the next slide is the team of the Backup, where I myself a short bio, but we have as well more or other colleagues and as well, Dan and Tom, for instance, who have as well experience in the fresh fruit and the vegetables packaging innovation. And besides that, we have as well other colleagues who are marketing driven, or as well in terms of reusability, refill, etc. So, but I'll come to that later as well, of what we are doing in the Backup. So there is a lot of regulatories in place, and I don't want to go into detail here, but the most of the regulatories in terms of shipping, etc., and I'm sure Tom will go through that later on anyway, that is already online available in the governmental websites, etc. So we can go quickly through this one, Eve, as well, where you have as well the standards available and the documentation which you can download as well. Here as well, the marketing standards for the preservation, but also regarding the marking, etc., in terms of fresh fruit and the vegetables. That is all available, but also there we can guide your clients or your industries as well, like we do here that as well for any other industries. Yeah, the next one. So why the backup? And that I come to the next slide, Yves. That is the various experiences what we have. Of course, there's a regulatory point of view, which I mentioned already in terms of each product has its own regulations, let's say. Also, it is important to understand what is the origin. Of course, it is Uzbekistan. Is it sent via the EU to the UK? As you know as well, the UK, it is not part anymore of the EU, but there is still some information where we can help as well in terms of distribution, retailer, etc. Each retailer has as well its own guidelines in terms of sustainability, in terms of recyclability, etc. If you look at Aldi, for instance, or Tesco's, they have their own guidelines, and that's where we can help them as well. Also, in terms of the packing type, is it bulk packed? Is it primary, secondary, tertiary, etc.? What I mentioned as well, where I had as well quite a bit of important work with Cadbury, for instance, when we were shipping the milk tray, and vegetables and fruits is no difference at all. Can we double stack? What is the headspace in your lorries? What is the allowance of the tonnage on the roads? On the roads in Germany, it's completely different than, for instance, in France, etc. So that's what you have to bear in mind. So we do pallet optimization as well, what we call the modularity, and that's where we can help as well, that you have the optimized economical way to bring something into the UK. That is quite important as well. And then the shipping environment, is it ambient, is it frozen, if it is chilled, the preservation, etc., is it vacuum packed? So there's so many aspects, and that's where it is hard to put that all in many slides, because it is depending on which product, which fruit and which vegetable we are talking about. But that's where we can help them. Sorry.
Can you hear me? Me, you could speak a little slower, so our translators have a chance
Sorry.
to translate easier.
Yeah.
Thank
Please
you.
tell me, because it's my passion, of course, as you
I can
realize,
imagine.
because as I mentioned, what I forgot to say, and as well, I'm retired now the last 2 years, but I'm still passionate about packaging, because I've been 48 years in packaging and I can't let go. That's why I'm still supporting a lot of industries, and one of the organization, of course, the Pack Hub as well. So the compliance is quite important, because what is the aim? We would like to ship fruit and vegetables in the same way as when you have it from the crop, in fact, when it is on the fork. And that's why we call it from farm to fork. That is quite important, that we contain, in fact, the quality, not just the texture, also the colors, the taste, etc., which is very important. And that's where I feel as well, you have to understand the product itself. Or I was in the dairy milk, or I was in cosmetics, etc. You have to understand the product. So what is the compatibility? What is the interaction between the packaging and the product? That is quite important. That's why you have to understand the product. What is the sugar contents, for instance, in beetroot or in carrots or in apples or whatever? What is the shelf life? What you need, the fat, the air, etc. So that is all quite important, and that's where you can adapt and modify as well your packaging to transport from Uzbekistan to the UK, or it is via different other countries or directly. So the compliance is very important. In the packaging itself as well, it is as well important what substances you use. If it is just fibers, carton board, or whatever, what is the migration of your mineral oils? Because in some countries, for instance, like France, if you would ship it via France, there is some legislation in place or gonna be in place in terms of migration of mineral oils in the board, in the packaging board. So that is quite important as well to understand. The food safety is of course very important. Taint and odor, what I just mentioned as well, and we do as well hazard analysis, etc. So we can connect as well the industries with different test laboratoria who can test that for you and give you the necessary certification as well. The labeling, very likely Tom and Weiss will go through the labeling as well, but it is important that the labeling is up to date. And these days there's a lot of innovations going on with direct labeling on fruit, let's say, that it is compostable, because you can't have plastic labels, let's say, anymore on any apples or pears or whatever, or any fruit, it is vegetables, cucumbers or whatever. So the ecosystem is very important. The waste management, it's not just the waste of the product itself, but also the packaging, because you at the end as a producer probably have to pay for it if you send it directly to Tesco's, to Aldi or whoever, because they will charge you, and there's the taxes as well coming in place quite soon as well. Where we're very innovative and good in is the trends and the insights, what is happening in the real world, not just from the product point of view, the combination product with packaging, but also the packaging itself, like ethylene oxygen scavengers, let's say, that is quite important, plastic free, because some coatings still have the polymers, and if the consumer throws away, which is the worst case scenario, if the consumer or the client throws away the packaging, what is the coating on there? Is there polymers in there? You still have the microplastics, and that's what you would like to avoid as a brand owner, or in your case, the shipper, in fact. So the supply chain, what I mentioned as well, is very important to have that in place, and that it is optimized as well. And that's where we are saying, well, we would like to uphold the quality of what you have produced in your country, and that it is in the same quality when it is here, because that is at the end your trademark, that is your sales pitch, let's say. I think that is what I would like to say about the packaging and the combination of the packaging with the product. We can't exclude the product from the packaging. It's not just about packaging. So you have to understand the product as well. We can go to the next one, Eve. Tell me if I'm still too fast. So what else do? We do various innovation zone publications. So we have the technical service, of course. We make and publish reports, so we can give you an update as well of what is happening in terms of the fruit general and globally as well. What are the new packaging products, let's say, on the market, and that's where we can help you as well in. And on the next slide as well. So the research, what we can do in terms of sustainability, market assessment, value optimization, etc., technology delivery. So there is a lot of work what we can help with, and as you can see, we have a good team as well, and we compensate each other as well within the team in that sense. I think that is in a nutshell what I want to share, but please feel free to ask questions, to give me comments, critics or whatever. So it's an open debate, of course, and you're more than welcome to communicate with me.
Thank you so much, Patrick, for this presentation. I think we will have all the presentations, and then we will invite questions afterwards, if that's okay. But yes, we look forward to learning more. Now I would like to invite Tom to share his presentation and talk about all the technicalities of actually importing goods in the UK, and what you need to know. Let me know, Tom, if I should share your presentation, or you are happy to share it yourself, and I'll give you host rights.
Yeah, you can share it on my behalf. That's fine.
Okay, great. Let me just open this. Our next presentation. I will share my screen. Okay. Yes, please, Tom, start with introducing yourself.
Yeah, no problem. So my name's Tom, and I'm here representing Arona Customs Clearing Agents. Sorry that you can't see me correctly, but we're not actually allowed cameras on our computers, and for some reason Zoom isn't letting me add my picture onto it, so sorry about that. So today we're just going to give you sort of a brief overview of our company, what sort of services we can offer, and we're going to give you a bit of sort of technical insight into how the imports customs clearing industry works and what sort of information you might need in order to do an import into the UK. So just a little bit about myself. I've been working for Arona for about 3 years now. So I have quite a bit of experience in quite a lot of different imports and exports. Arona as a company, we have been going for about 20 years or so now. So we do have a lot of experience working with large and small importers and exporters, from big businesses down to individual sole traders. So we have experience in importing by land, sea and air. So we can offer services for anything that you need to bring in, any method. We do regular imports of fresh fruits and vegetables from all over the world. For example, we're doing one just today from Jamaica. We've done from the EU, Asia, India. So we are pretty experienced with fresh fruits and vegetables in particular, but we do also deal with all kinds of cargo, including live animals, deal with machinery, chemicals, anything really, we can handle it for you. And we are able to arrange clearance into the UK and delivery to your address from any port or airport in the UK. So we are able to help with anything from door to door, basically. So the next slide, please. So it's just a brief overview of the process from purchase to delivery to your premises. So the first step will be for an importer to make an order with their supplier to make the purchase, and from there arrange the transportation and export. So once the order is ready, a local agent in the country of origin will arrange for it to be collected and delivered to the airport or port, depending on the method that it will be arriving to the UK. So at the point that it has been picked up and the order is processed and confirmed, the supplier will provide all documentation required from the local side of things for the import to the UK. And we'll go into a little bit more detail as to what sort of documentations we'll need a bit later on. So the cargo will then fly into the UK. Usually, particularly with fruits and veg, it would need to be imported into either London Heathrow or Manchester Airport. So they're the two airports in the UK that can handle food items, basically, because they have the necessary authorities there to inspect it and handle it. So once the goods arrive into the UK, that's when we'll complete the import entry for you. We'll arrange for any VAT and duties due at that point to be paid to HM Revenue and Customs. We would need to make sure that all documentation is with us at least 48 hours in advance, because we need to notify the relevant authorities at least 24 hours in advance that we will be receiving perishable goods into the UK. So once the goods have arrived, we've paid HMRC and they have cleared the goods for entry. The airline will then release the cargo for collection and we can arrange it to be delivered to wherever you need it to go. So if you can go to the next slide, please. So your requirements as an importer. So there's a few things that you would need to do in order to go about importing into the UK. So any company or individual who wants to import or export, you will need what's called an Economic Operations Registration Identification Number, or an EORI number. So anyone who wants to do any sort of importing or exporting for commercial use will need to register for an EORI number. I'll give you a little bit more information on how to do that later, but it's a fairly simple online process, can take up to 12 to 48 hours generally to do that. Depending on the type of commodity you're importing, what sort of fruits or vegetables, you may need to register for IPAFs, which is the import of plants, animals, food and feeding systems. And once you've registered for that, you would also need to link your account to ours so that we can undertake the necessary IPAFs notification on your goods arrival. Again, I'll give you a bit more information on how to do that later. So the importer must provide the correct commodity codes for their imported goods. So the commodity code, also known as a harmonized system code or HS code, is basically everything you could possibly think of importing has its own code. And that code will tell us exactly how much VAT or duty would need to be paid on import. It'll tell us any restrictions, like for example, if you can't import something into the UK at all. It'll tell us what documentation specifically we would need. And it'll also tell us any regulations that we would need to be aware of. So the importer would need to provide that. Usually that would be provided to you from the supplier. We can't provide you with the HS codes, but we can give you advice on how to find the correct one. So your importer must also provide any relevant documentations prior to the arrival of the goods. Again, we can let you know what sort of documentations we would need once we have the HS code. So it's important that we will get that prior to arrival. Because if, for example, some goods arrive and we haven't provided the correct documentation to HMRC or IPAFs in advance, it can cause delays to imports and it can cause storage charges, which we will always try and avoid for you. So in cases where an IPAFs entry is required, we will need all documentation and information at least 48 hours in advance of arrival. That's just to make sure that we can get that uploaded to IPAFs if needed. So they can then inspect the documents, and from there they can decide if the goods will need to be inspected physically on arrival. So we can go to the next slide, please. So documents required for import. So there's a few basically standard sort of documents that you would look at that you would need for every import. First of all would be a commercial invoice. So just a document to say who the goods were purchased from, what the goods are, and the total value of the goods. Generally, we would also need a packing list. So that's basically just a breakdown of each individual goods that you're bringing in. Say, for example, you're bringing in 10 boxes of melons and 10 boxes of beans. It'll tell you how many of each, how much each one weighs, net and gross, and usually the dimensions of the boxes as well. We would need an airway bill. As you can see that on the bottom left image there is an example of a blank airway bill. So that will have on the importers and exporters details. It'll have all the flight details so that we can track it for you. And it'll have the details of the commodity you're bringing in as well, and any freight costs on there too. For fruit and vegetables in particular, generally you will need what's called a phytosanitary certificate. An example of that is on the top left image there. So that again, that'll have the details of the importer and exporter. It'll have the full common and scientific Latin names of the plants to be imported. And there's other details in regards to the health to make sure that they are free from any like parasites or disease or anything like that. Certain products may also require more specific documentation. More information can be found on HMRC's Commodity Code website. It's not often that we do, but there are certain circumstances where we might need a little bit more documentation, but we would always let you know well in advance if we needed anything extra, just to give you time to make sure that that can be prepared. So go to the next slide, please. So a little bit of information on import taxes and duties. So everything imported into the UK will have a value for VAT and import duties. With fruit and vegetables, generally they're rated at 0% VAT on imports, so you wouldn't have to pay any VAT when you're importing. The duties, however, they can vary. Typically is between 0 and 13% import duties. There are ways we may be able to not have to pay those that we will come on to shortly. Any VAT or duty payable, it must be paid to HMRC before the goods can clear customs and be delivered. So if the goods arrive and the VAT and duties payable aren't paid, HMRC and the airline will not let the goods move. So they could end up being stuck there and incurring storage. So it's very important that they're paid straight away to avoid any additional costs for you. Easiest and quickest way for that to be done is to make the payment through what we have is called a deferment account, which is an account that we have that links directly with HMRC so that we can make immediate payments to HMRC as soon as the goods arrive and get that cleared straight away for you to avoid any unnecessary charges. So next slide, please. So preferential duty rates on imports. Imported from Uzbekistan, as you can see on the left, we've got an example from the HS Code website there. This one in particular is for apricots. So you can see there, all countries, the measure type is country duty. So apricots will typically be rated at 20% import duty. So that would mean that you'd have to pay 20% of the value of your apricots that you're bringing in as duties. However, Uzbekistan is a party to the Developing Countries Trading Scheme, or DCTS, which means that they have a preference whereby you wouldn't need to pay duty. So as you can see on the left again there, Developing Countries Trading Scheme, tariff preference 0%, which means that importing from Uzbekistan, you wouldn't need to pay duty rates if we are able to prove that the goods originated there. That would apply to most things. There are possible circumstances, one or two types of commodities might not qualify for that. But again, we would let you know in advance. So in order to claim that, the exporter, when they're making their commercial invoice for you, they would need to add this additional wording on the left here to the invoice. So the undersigned needs to write on there that the documents originated in Uzbekistan and it satisfies the rules of origin governing preferential trade with the United Kingdom. And at the bottom there, 5, 6, and 7, it will be the name of the person, the exporter, their position in the company, and the date that the invoice was raised. So if that little paragraph is all included on the invoice, we can claim preferential origin on the duty, and for most commodities you wouldn't have to pay any duty on there for you. So here is just a few useful links for you. So we'll just leave that up there, so if you want to screenshot it, or I'm sure we can possibly make the presentation available to you as well.
Yes.
So you've got.
Sorry,
So yeah,
Tom.
yeah,
We are running short on time, and so thank you very much for your
that's
presentation.
fine. That was the last slide anyway, but yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
Yes. And we will be able to share all the presentations with all the participants. If you registered, we already have your email address and we'll share it automatically. If you haven't registered, we will ask you to leave your email in the message box.
Yes.
Okay. Now we'll go to our to our last speaker, last but not least, Vice Kais, and who will tell us a little bit more about his journey. And yes, and if we have a couple minutes, would be great, Barry, if you already also importing, would be great for you to sort of share a few words as well. So please, Vice.
Thanks very much, Eve. First of all, I want to thank the society and also Islam and the rest of the team to putting this very important piece together. I will try to speak slowly if I can because of the translation. So I just want to give you a very quick synopsis of what we have done and what we are doing in Uzbekistan. So we have started our journey in 2019, working with Uzbekistan Embassy, together with the trade team and His Excellency the Ambassador at that time, to start looking at the fresh produce from Uzbekistan to UK market and bring them here for the first time. So we've taken this challenge, and at that time, I mean, quite rightly, our friend from the labeling company and also from the logistic company that we did a presentation. At that time, we had a lot of challenges to overcome, but we've taken this as a proof of concept, bringing fresh produce to UK market. So luckily, we have managed. In that time, it was a lot of challenges, lots of issues in terms of labeling, packaging, and also even the UK DAFA agency and the rest, they were not aware of Uzbekistan and all these issues behind it. So we have managed to bring this piece together, and we brought the cherries here and we sold it. So this was not just an export of cherries to UK market. It was actually a proof of concept, which will open lots of other doors for Uzbekistan business, leading to bilateral trade agreement post-Brexit, and also the WTO accession, creating competition in the market for the cherries, because that's one of the high-value commodities in Uzbekistan. Specifically, when we talk about the season, Uzbekistan has a very early seasons for cherries that is very profitable. And also we are still hoping to bring some further products now to Uzbekistan. And unfortunately, due to COVID situation, we couldn't carry bringing lots of fresh fruit from there, and the challenges that we had during because of the transportation, logistics, and the rest of it. So just to give you a quick synopsis of the actual what AKS does in Uzbekistan. So we are helping and supporting the export promotion, trade facilitation. We also have been engaged in workshops for banking, privatization of the banks, training and capacity building of them. And we have been engaged in the ESG as well, for training and development of the ESG.
Sorry, Vice, we're just running out of time, and so that's why I would like you to, yes, to sort of focus on actual entry in the markets. You know, maybe there is some specific tips that you would like to share with exporters. You know, where do they start and how? Like, what are the first steps?
Yeah, what is far more important is they need to look at the commodities, because Uzbekistan is landlocked country, double landlocked. And logistics is one of the major issues in Uzbekistan. So if you they need to look at the crops that is viable and it doesn't get rotted. And in bringing containers from there, it's going to take a while now due to the war now. So it's going to delay the process, and we have been experiencing this as well. And for some products, air logistics is one of them, which our good friend was talking about, clearance from Heathrow Airport and the rest of it. So this is one of the major challenges that they need to be looking at. But overall, yes, there is still issues with labeling, still issues with packaging. You would not be able to find a good packaging company or good labeling company or the rest of it. So that's still an issue in Uzbekistan, but it's developing. It's getting better. It's much better than what it was in 2019 and now. So the things are changed now. So these are the major challenges that it's been faced. The people will face them. And when looking at berry, actually, I'm looking as well to bring dry vegetables. So this is more a product that you can actually bring easily. And this is where the market is getting better. And we have been looking at this as well. And I don't mind to sit down with Barry and talk about this. Because our office is in Uzbekistan, and we are looking at this.
How did you started the relationship with distributors or supermarkets? Who are you selling to mainly in the UK?
To be honest with you, for the we couldn't sell it to the supermarkets, because for supermarkets you certainly do have a lot of boxes that you need to take, and those boxes are not easy to take from Uzbekistan. And the only way to reach the supermarkets is through distributors, and distributors will take those boxes for you. But our target market was local shops and local groceries, which they know, this is what our target was, and we have brought it to the main wholesale market, and then from there we have distributed, but not the supermarket.
Okay.
And still very
Great.
difficult.
Yes, thank you so much, Vice. Thank you for your presentation. And also, Barry, I wanted to go to you very quickly in 2 minutes. If you could just introduce yourself and tell us what you're importing and how you're doing that.
Hi, thank you very much. Yeah, my name's Barry. I'm based in the UK, but I work for Bonaf, obviously a well-known Uzbekistan company. We are exporting freeze-dried fruits around the world, but also into the UK. The advantages of freeze-dried, obviously, is the shelf life. Rather than it's lasting, 1-2 days or 2 weeks, the freeze-dried fruits have the advantages of a much longer shelf life. One of the things that hasn't been mentioned yet that I would point out is to be certain of your Incoterms when you're shipping products. It's really important because if anything does go wrong, you need to understand where the risks are and who's responsible. Now, luckily enough, a couple of the companies that have already spoken have got really good experience, and I'd ask that people do tap into that experience. They're there to help you, and they are, it sounds very, very complicated, the whole business. It's not really that complicated once you know, but it's understanding that. And the UK is probably the leader in regulation and compliance and everything else that goes along with it. It's not like just sending something into a country next door. Not only does the country have lots of regulations, you then go down to distributors and to retailers that are even more complicated. So they're there to help you. But as far as we're concerned, as far as Bonaf, we are now shipping it into the UK along with other markets and finding more and more distributors. It is a very vibrant market. We have quite a large population, and one thing I will say is that the Uzbekistan quality of fruit and vegetables is the major selling point. If you can, it's not a cost point of view. You're not going to match people on cost. You sell it on quality. Get people to physically taste the product, actually feel and understand the quality of Uzbekistan products, which are, in my view, they're just second to none, especially fruit and vegetables. They are just the best thing. Although British strawberries, I still prefer British strawberries, but and then the up and coming fruit at the moment, yellow carrots. Yellow carrots is the next thing. So.
Thank you so much, Barry. I totally agree. I travel to Uzbekistan only to eat fruits and vegetables.
It's sell the quality. That's all.
Yes, lovely quality. And so if you would be interested in getting to know more about the British market and how to enter it, we actually started the conversation with Tesco PLC. And they're quite interested to hear from Uzbek exporters. So if you have registered to the meeting properly, then we have your email already. If you were not able to register, it would be great if you could put your email address in the message, and we will ensure that we will first of all send you all the presentations and contacts. And we will also ask you to share your presentation with us, where we will put together a sort of a wider proposal for Tesco PLC from our side, working together in conjunction with the Embassy of Uzbekistan in London. So now we would, and also if you need any support, we are here to say to help. As Barry said, we were happy to find consultants that you might need and find the solutions for you. Everything is doable. And myself, I worked in logistics for many years. So in terms of finding the best routing, the best partners for you, we would be happy to support you. So we would invite you to join our society as members. Corporate membership costs £200 for a whole year of support. And there are more details you can find on our website, www.uzbek.org.uk. And we will share this information with you as well. So now we invite questions. If you have questions for our panel, for the trade secretary, please just raise your hand and I will unmute you. So while we're waiting for any questions,
I have a question, may I?
Oh, yes, sure. Yes, please.
Okay, first of all, good afternoon to everyone. I'm the manager of the company Samarkand Golden Chickpeas. And
Welcome.
First of all, let me introduce a bit about our company. Our company founded
Yes.
in 1995 and worked in the field of roasting chickpeas. And since 2018, it starts his field and exporting and producing other types of natural, high quality, natural dry fruits.
What would be your question?
Okay. And we also work with Britain as well. It's already 5 years. We have a very great and friendly partnership with Britain clients. And there is a question. So, can you provide us with the list of importers from your country? The reason there is one issue that some clients require for 5 or 3 tons of goods.
Yes, I can actually
And
answer.
there is issue in what? In one thing. If we will get the list of importers from you, we can get them and get order each of them and fit their goods in one truck and send to them. It will be great and cheaper for them, of course.
Yes, so let me answer this question. So this is the first part of the seminar. Next part, which will be in sometime in autumn, we want to create a meeting together with distributors in the UK who specialize on importing fresh produce. So we will invite you to join this meeting, and you will definitely be able to build more contacts during that. So this event is more to introduce the Uzbek exporters with the British market and the requirements. So you have time to prepare, look at your labeling, look at the documents that you might need. Maybe prepare some proposals, look at your costs. And the next event in autumn will be dedicated to bring together basically UK distributors and Uzbekistan exporters, and perhaps we'll see how we will run it, but hopefully we'll have an opportunity to present several sort of major exporters in Uzbekistan for the UK market. So yes, we're definitely working on that, and we have that list, and we're working towards that event, and we'll be able to share it with you, obviously. Any other questions? Also, you can ask your
Okay,
question
I got
in
it.
Russian.
Thank you.
Yes, you can ask your question in Russian as well, and we will be able to translate it.
Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте.
Меня зовут Сулейман Гульманов. Я сотрудник штаба по повышению экспортного потенциала наших производителей, товаропроизводителей, фермеров, кластеров и других сельхозпредприятий. У меня аналогичный вопрос, только что с Самарканда задавали, о том, чтобы предоставить список импортеров. У меня чуть-чуть другой. Я хотел бы узнать, куда мы можем. Мы в штабе централизованно собираем со всех регионов производителей. Сейчас у нас готово производители черешни. У нас сезон поспевания черешни. И мы хотели бы направить вам с контактными данными этих производителей, чтобы ваши в Великобритании, скажем, ритейлеры или крупные компании связывались с ними и обговаривали поставки. Спасибо.
Yes, again, please share your email address in the text, and we will be reaching out to everyone interested and ask for the presentations. And then we will put a joint proposal for Tesco supermarkets, but also we'll be reaching out to other supermarkets and distributors.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. I have wrote my email address in chat. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
So we have 2 more minutes. If we may be able to take one quick question. Okay, I think we don't have any more questions. So I would like to say a huge thank you for joining us today and coming to hear our experts in labeling, in customs, and obviously hear from the head of trade and investment at the embassy. We would like to say a huge thank you to our translators, Natalia and Ksenia, who were helping us today and allowing you to hear it in Russian language simultaneously. I hope that it worked well. As I was jumping through the two, I heard the both. We will also have recording available of the session, and we will be able to upload it to our YouTube channel, so it will be accessible for everyone at any point. So thank you very much. And yes, maybe Mr. Islam, would you like to say a final word?
Yeah, thank you very much, Eve, for the fruitful presentation. It was very interesting to be part of this event, and would like to especially thank our panelists for the informative presentations, and would like to say that we would be happy to share all these presentations as well with interested parties. And if somebody will have more questions, we are ready to have a kind of bridge between the sites to provide with the full informative information. Hurmatli yig'ilish ishtirokchilari, qatnashganingiz uchun katta rahmat. Barcha bugun
Добрый день, рад вас видеть.
Assalomu alaykum. Yig'ilish hammanglarga katta rahmat qatnashganinglarga. Barcha tadbirda bo'lib o'tgan o'sha prezentatsiyalarni o'sha karantin agentligi, Meva sabzavot eksportchilar uyushmasi, Savdo sanoat palatasi orqali tadbirkorlarga yetkazishga biz tayyormiz. To'g'ridan-to'g'ri bizga murojaat qilsanglar ham, savollaringiz qo'shimcha qolib ketgan bo'lsa, mana shu qatnashchilardan javob olib sizlarga jo'natamiz. O'zimiz ham javoblar bilan ta'minlashga yordam qilamiz. Katta rahmat.
Rahmat.
Yes, I also wanted to say a huge thank you to Anvartash from the quarantine agency. We've been talking about this event, and thank you very much for your support and yes, inviting the producers. And yes, thank you. Thanks all. And we hope to see you on the second session of our exporters a seminar in autumn, where we will hopefully be joining with many distributors from the UK.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.